Do you go by Joe or Joe Don?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, whatever you're comfortable
Just
with.
don't call me late for dinner. So, well, I just want to start to thank you so much first. Let's start with the current album just released, and we're playing it. What a great retrospective from then and now. Interesting to have a demo from Dolly and Now and Then and the new duet song. Would you share how you and Dolly connected and how the demo surfaced for this collection?
Dolly was new in town back in about 1964, and I was looking for a girl to sing a girl song and a duet with me on a demo session that I was doing. And a friend of mine from East Tennessee named Walter Haynes, great guitar and steel player, he said, I know this girl. Said she's just come to town. Her name's Dolly Parton, which that meant nothing to me at the time. He said, I think she can do a great job. Would you like for me to hire her to come to your demo session? He was kind of co-producing with me, and I said, well, sure, you know. So she came out, and I mean, who was this lively little blonde with short hair? And she said, I forget what the song was she sang by herself, and then I pulled out the duet called If It's All the Same to You. And she just did the most amazing job. She jumped from the second part to the third part of harmony and back, and what she was doing was totally incorrect musically, but it was absolutely the most soulful thing that you could imagine. And she did exactly what the song called for, because she just had that intuition about her, you know, that this is what the song needs. Well, the demo disappeared for a long time. Jan Howard and I went ahead and recorded the song and put it on an album, but the actual demo with me and Dolly disappeared for years. We couldn't find it, and somehow it resurfaced not too long ago, and here it is on this Universal album, along with the brand new duet called Someday It'll All Make Sense that Dolly and I've done together.
Great song, and I have to say for the record, my wife loves that song.
Thank you. You have good taste in wives.
I want to talk real quick about Bill Anderson, the songwriter. Song lyrics are a compulsive obsession for songwriters, it seems. How do you grapple with coming up with a song lyric and either writing it down to finish it or letting it go?
Well, I've done a lot of both. I've finished a lot and I've let a lot of them go, and I've thrown a lot of them in the trash can. There's no set formula, really. You stumble on something if you're lucky, and you say, hey, that might make a good idea for a song. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You know, you massage it for a while. Some of them kind of take root and grow, and others you say, I'm just wasting my time. This isn't really going to happen. And you just look at a blank sheet of paper and hope that somehow some words will come up on it. And the good Lord's been awful good to me. He's given me a whole bunch of them. He hadn't given them to me, he's loaned them to me.
That's great. Well, congratulations on your 61 years as a member of the Opry from 1961. That's kind of an interesting thing, 1961 and 61 years. You've come to fill some pretty important shoes as far as ambassadors go, from Roy Acuff to Porter Wagner. You seem to reign as the patriarch of the Opry now. What are your impressions of the Opry then and now?
Well, number one, long before I was ever on the Opry, I was an Opry fan. I grew up listening to the Opry down in Georgia. I'd take a little tiny radio and hold the antenna up by the window so I could pull WSM in on Saturday nights, and then I could listen to the network broadcast portion, which was on NBC radio back in those days. I could hear that portion without the static. My mom and dad brought me to the Opry for the first time when I was 14 years old at the Ryman. I fell in love with the Opry long before I ever got here. Fell in love with it all over again, watching it from sitting out in the Ryman seats, and then getting to perform on the Opry, you know, just a few years later after I had come to see it for the first time. It's just been such a special part of my life and such a part of my blood and what I'm all about. When the Opry moved from the Ryman to the Opry House, I was here, and I've had so many memorable nights, as you say, 61 years worth of them. And as we're in the Opry House tonight, I'm adding another night to the list. It's a wonderful place. It's home. It's a family. It's something that I just don't know how my life could have been the same. It would not have been the same without the Grand Ole Opry.
A few words on the significance of the three newest members of the Country Music Hall of Fame, your new brothers.
Well, I went to the medallion ceremony the other night. In fact, I was very honored in that when the ceremony's over every year, they get somebody to come up and lead everybody in singing "Will the Circle Be Unbroken," and they asked me to do it this year, and that was very special. Keith Whitley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Joe Galante from the business side of our business went in this year, and each one of them certainly deserved to be in there. They all contributed and have contributed and continue to contribute in some cases to our business and our format and our music, and I couldn't be happier. They're all more than welcome, and they all deserve to have their plaques up there in that rotunda.
Very good, very good. Now Roger Miller's birthday is coming up this coming Tuesday, and his start with country, starting country music with friends Roger Miller. Would you reflect on your association with him then and his legacy now?
You don't have long enough for me to talk about Roger Miller. We met each other in Atlanta when both of us were teenagers. He was in the Army. He was stationed at a place called Fort McPherson, Georgia, in Atlanta. And I was working as a disc jockey in a little town about 60 miles up the road called Commerce, Georgia. And every time there would be a country music show come to Atlanta, Roger and I would meet each other backstage. We hadn't known each other before, but we got acquainted backstage at these Grand Ole Opry shows that would come to town. We became fast friends. We both talked about our dreams. We both wanted to come to Nashville. We both wanted to write songs. We both wanted to perform. And we kind of made a little pact between us that whichever one of us got here first would help the other one. Roger got out of the Army and came here before I got out of school and could break loose and come to Nashville. And he kept his word. He did help me. He introduced me to people, spoke well of me when he had the opportunity. And it's ironic that the first major song I ever had recorded and the first major song that Roger ever had recorded were released back to back on a little 45 RPM record by Ray Price. Roger's song was called Invitation to the Blues, and mine was called City Lights.
Oh, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
Well, with Christmas coming up, do you have a Christmas tradition that you carry on or a favorite Christmas memory?
Well, my Christmas tradition down through the years has always been to be home on Christmas. There's a great old song that Boudleaux and Felice Bryant wrote called "There's No Place Like Home at Christmas." Jimmy Dickens used to sing that every Christmas season here at the Opry, and I recorded it not too many Christmases ago. I've always felt like Christmas was a place where you needed to be at home. You didn't need to be out on tour, and I had many chances to be overseas, to be across the country somewhere on Christmas. I know Christmas is home. I'm gonna be home with my family and my kids and my parents when they were alive. So that has been the big tradition in my life, and I continue that. My favorite Christmas memory is kind of a sad one, I guess, in some ways, but it speaks to me in a very special way. I was going through a divorce in 1969, and I had two young daughters, and I was feeling awfully guilty at Christmas time because we were having to split time. They would spend a few days with me and then a few days with their mom, and it was kind of a heart-wrenching time, and I felt guilty about everything that was happening. And I was tucking my youngest daughter. She was about 4 or 5 years old, I guess, at the time, and I was tucking her in bed on Christmas Eve. And I'm thinking, this has got to be so hard for her. But I looked down at her, and she had a big smile on her face. And she looked up at me and she said, "Dad, we are so lucky." And I said, "What do you mean, honey? What do you mean you're lucky?" She said, "Because we have two houses where we're loved." That has stuck with me all of these years. Here I was feeling bad and down and sad, and here she was seeing the positive side of it, that she knew she was loved at her mom's house, and she knew she was loved at her dad's house. That was the best Christmas present I got that year.
That's awesome. Well, I understand you've got a good anniversary coming up on the 27th of this month. It's your 60th anniversary of Mama Sang a Song.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
That just proves it's a timeless classic.
Well, Anita Kerr, who played such a big part with the Anita Kerr singers in creating the sound and singing the old hymns on there, passed away a few days ago, and I won't ever do that song again without thinking of her and her great contribution. Speaking of anniversaries, I'm going to do a song tonight on the Opry that I've only done on the Opry maybe 1 or 2 times in my life. But I was thumbing through an old country music reference book the other day, and I saw where a song that I wrote for Charlie Louvin called "Think I'll Go Somewhere and Cry Myself to Sleep" came in the charts on this day in 1965, 57 years ago. And Charlie Louvin was a dear friend and a great Opry artist. And I thought, well, tonight I'm just going to honor Charlie. I'm just going to sing "Think I'll Go Somewhere and Cry Myself to Sleep" on the Opry in memory of him, and to commemorate the fact that it was 57 years ago that that song came in the charts.
That's awesome. What would you want your fans now and in the future to know about Bill Anderson?
Nothing.
Only the good things. Only the good things.
I don't want them to know anything. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, finish your question.
Well, just what you would want to, a message you would want to send them. And I know we've talked before how it revolves around your song "Thankful," and I'd like to get your sentiments on that.
Well, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving at the Opry because I get to sing "Thankful" every year. And I am thankful. I'm very thankful. I'm very blessed. I've had a wonderful life. I guess I would want my fans to know how much I appreciate them, how much I appreciate the ones that have been with me from virtually the beginning. And I've got some that have actually been with me virtually ever since I started in the business. And I've told people down through the years, I've never had the most fans of anybody in this business, but I sure have had the most loyal fans. I've had fans that have stuck with me, traveled thousands of miles to see me, bought every record I put out, every song I wrote for other people. They still hang with me in my fan club, which is online now, like everything is, and they still stay in touch with me and all. I would just want the fans to know how much I truly appreciate them, every single one of them. I just appreciate them more than they would ever know. Long before I was a singer or a songwriter, I was a fan.
Yeah.
I was a country music fan, and I know how it feels to be a fan. I know how it feels to get an autograph. I know how it feels to be turned down for an autograph. And I've always tried to treat the fans like I would want to be treated as a fan. And I hope I've done that, and I hope they know how much I appreciate them.
Well, God bless you. I've got a bucket list request for you. I'd
Okay.
like to sing a little bit of "Still" with you. Could we do that?
What part you want to sing?
We'll just do the chorus part, just the beginning part.
Well, what's the chord? It's
Still, though you broke my heart.
This is your key, not mine. I'll do the recitation. You
Okay,
sing.
there you go.
You sing.
Still,
Go ahead.
though you broke my heart.
I've lost count of the hours,
Still,
and I've lost track of the days.
though we're far
In fact, I've lost just about
apart,
everything since you went away. Everything, including my mind. No.
I'm going to tell you.
Don't call me Joe Don. I'll call you.
I'll tell you, my son, I brought him up right because he can recite every word to that song. Let me go for it.
Poor child.
Put on the spot, man.
Well, next time I forget the words on stage, I know who to call.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind signing a couple
Oh,
autographs?
I'll be glad to.
Now, we saw you on the 27th when I did my classic country fan trip,
Yeah.
and
You didn't bring a busload with you this time?
well, I'm here to pre-plan for next year. Actually.
Oh, I got you. You just do it once a year?
Yeah, well, I've just started doing it, and hopefully, well, there you go.
There you go.
If we could work something out, maybe what would it take to get you to make an appearance at our
Oh,
event next year?
it'd be tough. I'd be real expensive and hard to get.
Well, it's here in Nashville.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, I'll be glad to.
Just your name would be fine.
Okay.
But we did the fan trip.
You had
last-
Celie, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, we had Jeannie. Look at this. Ronnie McDowell, John Barry, Tim Atwood, and then on the Monday, here's a blast from the past. Donna Fargo.
Oh my goodness. How's she doing?
She's doing fine. I had lunch with her, or dinner. We had dinner with her on Thursday.
Well, she had a like a light stroke or something, didn't she? Or something.
She's getting along really well.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I ran into her at a restaurant one day, and that's the last time I've seen her. It was before Stan passed away.
Yeah.
And we had a
She was my
good-
first radio interview when I did my classic country show.
Well,
We've
she's a
kept
North
in-
Carolina girl.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And we've kept in touch ever since.
Golly, this is in good shape.
It is. So,
You know the story behind this album cover?
tell me.
when this album first came out, this was my first album. You
Yeah.
may not even know this, Kelly.
Probably.
When this album first came out, it was just called, it didn't have Mama Sang. It had Bill Anderson and Bill Anderson sings country heart songs. That's what the cover said. And Mama Sang a Song was in this album. And when it became the big hit that it became, they went back in and retitled the album Mama Sang a Song and Other Country Heart Songs. The original album cover, which this was done in red and green in that time, the original cover that doesn't have this on it, somebody's told me that it's very valuable, that record collectors pay several
I bet.
$100s for
Well, I'm gonna be on the
copies of it.
lookout for it.
Yeah.
You're too late. You got the wrong one. No, but isn't that interesting?
That is
The way
interesting.
that happened. Yeah.
Do you know why they changed it? They were just
Well,
like,
of course,
we want to
Mama
make
Sang a
sure.
Song became a hit.
So they wanted to make sure people knew.
And
it
what
was-
they did back in those days was they wanted to put the title up here at the top because the old album stood up in the record racks in the stores,
You'd have
and
to
people
turn
would
it
thumb
over.
through them. And the first thing, look at that, see that still right there on the very
Yeah.
top.
Right,
On the
right.
very top. I Love You drops
That's
right
my
there at the top.
favorite song by you, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
love that song. And I love what you say on the Opry when you sing it. It's like, and that's a funny name for a girlfriend.
Yeah, Ralph Emery used to tease me about this. Who is Drops? That's a funny name.
Well, can we grab a couple pictures? And I